Hello, brothers, and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Some men celebrate their existence, others quietly question its purpose. For Sigma males, birthdays are less of a celebration and more of an annual existential ambush. While the world rushes to light candles, sing songs, and plaster awkward smiles on their faces, Sigmas stand in the corner, silently wondering, why is everyone so excited about me surviving another 365 days? Here's a fact. According to studies, introverted personalities often find overstimulation draining, and forced social rituals like birthdays are their ultimate nightmare. For Sigmas, who thrive on autonomy and depth, the idea of being the center of attention for something as arbitrary as being born feels absurdly hollow. And let's be real, what's worse than the unsolicited Facebook posts from people you barely remember, all starting with, "Happy birthday, buddy." It's as if the universe decided that this is the one day you can't escape everyone's desperate attempts to feel connected to you. If you're still thinking birthdays are harmless fun, buckle up. For a Sigma male, it's an event that screams discomfort, annoyance, and the ultimate test of patience. Number one, they hate forced attention. Sigma males hate their birthdays because it forces them into the kind of spotlight they actively avoid the other 364 days of the year. To them, being the center of attention feels unnatural, almost invasive, like being on a stage without a script. They're not the type to crave validation or applause, so when the world suddenly decides to shower them with attention, most of it superficial, it feels more like a performance they never auditioned for. What really grates on them is the way birthdays demand a certain kind of behavior. You're expected to be cheerful, gracious, and appreciative of every gesture, no matter how over the top or insincere it might feel. Sigmas, being wired to keep things real, find this exhausting. They can't fake enthusiasm for a party they didn't want, nor can they muster excitement for half-hearted greetings from people who wouldn't otherwise care. It's not that they don't appreciate the sentiment, they just can't stand the obligation to respond in a way that feels staged. For a Sigma, attention is only welcome when it serves a purpose, like sharing an idea or solving a problem. Birthdays, on the other hand, place them in the spotlight for no reason other than existing. It's a circus of forced cheerfulness, where they're expected to act like this day matters more than any other. The truth is, they value authenticity over empty gestures, depth over decoration, and quiet introspection over loud celebrations. Being thrust into the center of attention doesn't flatter them, it drains them. It feels like a betrayal of the low-profile life they've carefully curated, turning a day that could have been peaceful into a spectacle they can't wait to escape. Number two, celebrations feel hollow. Sigma males often find birthday celebrations to be painfully hollow because they're not about what truly matters to them. For most people, birthdays are about rituals, cutting the cake, singing that same tired song, and exchanging a few rehearsed lines of small talk. To a Sigma, all of this feels like a shallow act designed to fill the air with noise and routine, not meaning. It's not that they're anti-celebration, they just believe that celebrations should hold weight, depth, and authenticity. The typical birthday traditions don't even come close. What bothers them most is the lack of substance behind it all. A room full of balloons, candles, and people clinking glasses might seem festive, but to a Sigma, it's just a distraction. They'd rather spend their time reflecting on what the past year taught them or setting goals for what's ahead. Instead, they're expected to smile through a spectacle that feels more like a performance for others than a moment for themselves. It's like everyone is pretending it's about the birthday person, but in reality, it's more about everyone else's need to celebrate something. Sigma males are wired to reject anything that feels forced or insincere. They crave meaningful connections and real experiences, not a cookie-cutter party that's been done 1,000 times before. A birthday, in the way society frames it, lacks the depth they value. It's not about growth, self-awareness, or even real joy. It's about going through the motions. For a Sigma, that emptiness is almost unbearable. They'd much rather spend the day in solitude, or with a select few who truly matter, doing something meaningful, instead of being dragged into a staged event that feels like a parody of celebration. Number three, they detest obligatory socializing. Sigma males hate the idea of obligatory socializing, and birthdays turn into the perfect storm of everything they despise. It's not just about having to show up. It's about being forced into a room full of people they don't truly connect with, often under the guise of celebrating. The problem is, Sigmas don't do surface-level interactions. They're allergic to small talk, fake smiles, and the kind of meaningless chatter that tends to dominate birthday gatherings. To them, it's like being trapped in a social prison where every interaction feels like a test of patience. What makes it worse is the unspoken expectation to play host or entertain others, as if being the birthday person automatically means they're responsible for ensuring everyone else has a good time. For a Sigma, this is pure agony. They don't thrive on orchestrating group dynamics or putting on a performance to make people feel comfortable. The entire concept feels backward. Why should they work hard to please others on their birthday? Sigmas value genuine connections and meaningful exchanges, but birthdays often attract a crowd of obligatory attendees, friends of friends, distant relatives or co-workers who showed up out of politeness. These are not the kinds of interactions Sigmas cherish, and being forced to engage with people they barely know or care about feels like a massive waste of their time and energy. At its core, obligatory socializing strips them of their autonomy, something Sigmas fiercely protect. They'd rather spend the day alone, reflecting, recharging, or doing something that genuinely brings them joy, than be coerced into playing a part in someone else's idea of fun. For them, birthdays aren't about mingling with a crowd. They're about preserving their sense of peace and authenticity. Number 4, material gifts feel meaningless. Sigma males view material gifts as a shallow attempt to express something that could be conveyed more meaningfully. For them, the act of exchanging objects, no matter how shiny, trendy, or expensive, doesn't hold the weight that others attach to it. They see through the ritual and often interpret it as society's way of placing value on things rather than on experiences, growth, or genuine connection. Receiving a new gadget, a pair of socks, or a generic thoughtful trinket doesn't spark joy for them. It only reinforces how detached they feel from the materialistic norms of the world around them. What really frustrates them is the transactional nature of it all. Birthdays often become a loop of giving and receiving gifts that no one truly needs, as if wrapping something up in shiny paper makes it significant. To a Sigma, this feels empty. They'd rather someone spend time with them in a way that matters, or share a profound idea or insight that actually resonates with who they are. Gifts, in their eyes, are often placeholders for deeper gestures people are too lazy or unaware to make. The worst part is that society expects them to show gratitude for these gifts, even when they feel no connection to them. It's not about being ungrateful. It's about craving meaning over materialism. Sigmas value things that expand their mind or create lasting memories, not items that will collect dust or end up re-gifted. To them, the endless cycle of gifting only highlights how often people miss the point of what it means to truly give, offering something that adds value to a person's inner life. For a Sigma male, that value will never be found in a box wrapped in ribbon. Number 5, they see it as a false marker of achievement. Sigma males find it absurd that society treats birthdays as milestones of achievement. To them, aging is inevitable, literally the most passive thing you can do, and yet it's celebrated as if it's some grand accomplishment. What bothers them even more is the cultural expectation to act as though each birthday is a marker of progress or personal growth, when in reality it's just the Earth completing another lap around the sun. For a Sigma, true achievement is measured by what you've done with your time, not simply by the passage of it. They see birthdays as a facade, a day when everyone pretends life is neatly packaged into annual chapters of success and happiness. Society's obsession with this narrative feels hollow to them. Were you supposed to have a better job, a bigger house, or a new relationship by this birthday? Did you fail if you didn't hit some invisible checkpoint? Sigmas reject this pressure entirely. They know that life is complex, non-linear, and deeply personal. They don't need a birthday to remind them of where they stand. They already assess their progress through self-reflection, goals, and internal metrics that matter to them. This disconnect makes birthdays feel performative. Sigmas are expected to play along, smiling as if turning a year older is a monumental event. But for them, it's meaningless if it doesn't align with real growth or purpose. A number on a cake doesn't define who they are or where they're going. Instead, they see birthdays as a day when others impose their shallow markers of success onto them, which only deepens their disdain for the whole ordeal. For a Sigma, achievement isn't something you celebrate because a calendar says so. It's something you quietly work toward every single day. Number 6, they can't stand over-the-top gestures. Sigma males loathe over-the-top birthday gestures because they feel like a complete invasion of their personal space and boundaries. To them, surprise parties, singing waiters, or public birthday shout-outs are not acts of kindness. They're ambushes. These grand gestures strip away their sense of control, leaving them feeling cornered and exposed, like someone just turned their peaceful world into a chaotic circus without their consent. The problem isn't the intention behind the gesture, it's the execution. Sigma males value their autonomy and carefully curate the energy they allow into their lives. They thrive in environments where they can anticipate and manage what's happening around them. Over-the-top surprises, however, throw all of that out the window. They're suddenly forced into situations where they have to react in real time, often with a room full of eyes on them, expecting smiles, laughter, or gratitude. For someone who prefers authenticity and introspection, this level of forced performance feels like emotional warfare. What makes it worse is how such gestures are often more about the person organizing them than the one being celebrated. A surprise party becomes a showcase for how thoughtful or creative someone else is, while the Sigma is left to endure the spectacle. Singing waiters or public announcements in a restaurant are even worse, because they invite strangers into the awkwardness, amplifying the discomfort. To a Sigma, these antics are the antithesis of what they want on their birthday: peace, simplicity, and authenticity. They don't need grand displays of affection or attention to feel valued. If anything, such gestures push them further away, reinforcing their belief that birthdays are less about celebrating who they are and more about conforming to societal norms they've long since rejected. Number 7, they resent the fake well-wishers. Sigma males have no patience for fake well-wishers who come out of the woodwork on their birthday. The sudden influx of happy birthday messages from people who barely acknowledge their existence the rest of the year feels like a shallow and hollow performance. These aren't heartfelt gestures, they're social obligations, and Sigmas can sniff out the insincerity from a mile away. What truly irritates them is how predictable it all is. A random coworker they barely talk to, an old acquaintance from years ago, or that distant relative who always seems to forget their actual interests, will suddenly send a generic message like, "Hope it's a great day." It's surface level at best and painfully obligatory at worst. To a Sigma, it's not just meaningless, it's insulting. It feels like people are checking a box to appear polite, rather than genuinely caring about them as a person. For a Sigma, meaningful connections aren't built on calendar reminders or forced greetings. They value relationships that are consistent and genuine, not ones that only surface when society says it's time to perform. The flood of texts, calls, and social media posts on their birthday highlights a glaring disconnect. The people who truly matter already show up for them throughout the year. They don't need a specific day to prove their care, and they certainly don't rely on empty gestures from those who don't. To a Sigma, fake well-wishers only reinforce why they distance themselves from superficial social norms. Birthdays, instead of feeling celebratory, become a stark reminder of how many people engage with them out of convenience rather than authenticity. It's a day that highlights how little they care for shallow relationships, and how much they'd rather spend their time with the rare few who truly understand them. Number 8, it disrupts their solitude. For Sigma males, birthdays are an unwelcome disruption to their carefully cultivated solitude. They thrive on independence and value the quiet rhythm of their lives, where they control how and when they engage with others. But birthdays? Birthdays are an assault on that peace. Suddenly everyone feels entitled to a piece of their time and energy, whether it's family insisting on a dinner outing or friends planning an event just for them. To a Sigma, this feels less like celebration and more like sabotage. The issue isn't just the break in routine, it's the loss of autonomy. A Sigma male chooses solitude not out of loneliness, but because it allows them to think, recharge, and focus on what truly matters. A birthday, however, forces them into situations where they have to play along with plans they didn't even ask for. Sitting through a loud dinner, making small talk, or being dragged to some overhyped activity feels like betrayal, especially when they'd rather spend the day reflecting or doing something meaningful to them. What makes it worse is the expectation to be grateful for these interruptions. Everyone assumes they're doing something kind, but from a Sigma's perspective, it's just noise. It's not about being unappreciative, it's about being misunderstood. They don't need big plans or forced gatherings to feel valued. In fact, the most meaningful gift for them would be letting them spend their day exactly as they please, without interference. To a Sigma, birthdays don't feel like a celebration of their life. Instead, they feel like an unwanted spotlight that disrupts their sanctuary of independence and solitude. It's not the passing of another year that bothers them. It's the way society insists they break their peace to acknowledge it. Number 9, the fear of not meeting expectations. For Sigma males, birthdays often feel like an unwelcome performance review. Society places this unspoken pressure on them. What have you achieved by now? Are you living up to the milestones? Are you following the prescribed path? To a Sigma, this is not only frustrating, it's an affront to their very nature. The idea that life should follow a structured timeline is something they outright reject. They don't care about ticking off boxes on a societal checklist, and they certainly don't want their worth judged by the calendar. Sigmas are fiercely independent thinkers. They don't live for the approval of others, and they don't measure success by the conventional markers most people do. The societal expectation to have everything figured out by a certain age, job, relationship, house, children, feels restrictive to them. It doesn't align with how they view life. To them, growth is not linear or preordained. It's a personal, unpredictable journey. So when their birthday rolls around and people inevitably ask about their plans or accomplishments, it creates an internal tension. It's a moment where they feel they must either defend their choices or pretend to fit into a mold they've never agreed with. This pressure feels suffocating. The fear of not meeting these expectations, of not having an answer to the question, "What have you done with your life?" can be overwhelming. But rather than conform, Sigma males double down on their rejection of the societal script. They know that life isn't about following a set timeline, and birthdays are just another day in their ongoing process of growth, one that is uniquely their own. The expectations others place on them are simply noise, and Sigmas won't let it define how they live. Number 10, they see it as a manufactured celebration. For Sigma males, birthdays are little more than a manufactured celebration, a commercialized spectacle engineered by society and big businesses to create demand for greeting cards, overpriced dinners, and balloons that lose their charm within a day. They see through the marketing gimmicks that have turned a once personal occasion into a consumer-driven event. From the moment the stores start filling up with happy birthday paraphernalia, it becomes painfully obvious to a Sigma that this isn't about genuine celebration, it's about making money off the illusion of sentimentality. Sigma males despise the feeling that their personal milestone has been hijacked by capitalism. Birthdays are just another occasion for businesses to profit by preying on people's emotions, convincing them that spending money on material goods somehow equates to showing love and appreciation. For a Sigma, this feels insincere at best and exploitative at worst. The idea that a company can manipulate the way you feel about yourself and your relationships by slapping a price tag on something that should be a meaningful and personal experience sits uncomfortably with them. They value authenticity and hate the thought of being treated like a pawn in a system that's more interested in boosting sales than fostering real connections. To them, the constant bombardment of buy this, celebrate that feels like a betrayal of the real spirit of any occasion. A birthday is supposed to be about personal reflection, growth, and quiet moments, not forced rituals of consumerism that don't actually add value to their lives. In short, a Sigma male sees birthdays as little more than an artificial celebration, carefully constructed to sell an experience they've never asked for and never really needed. At the end of the day, Sigma males don't hate birthdays because they're bitter about getting older or because they dislike attention. It's the superficiality and societal expectations that come with the day that rub them the wrong way. Birthdays have become a commercialized spectacle, a forced celebration that infringes on their peace, their authenticity, and their values. To them, it's not about rejecting love or care. It's about rejecting the system that dictates how, when, and why those things should be expressed. They cherish solitude over noise, real connection over obligatory gestures, and personal growth over external milestones. When you strip away the consumerism, the fake well-wishes, and the pressure to perform, a Sigma male's ideal birthday is simply another day to reflect, recharge, and live life on his own terms. He doesn't need a cake, a party, or a crowded room to feel valued. He needs space, authenticity, and the freedom to be himself without anyone else's expectations hanging over him. In the end, for a Sigma, birthdays are just another reminder that the best moments in life are the ones we experience quietly on our own terms, without the noise of the world dictating how we should celebrate. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the mind of a Sigma male and want more content that challenges the status quo, pushes boundaries, and gives you a fresh perspective, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join the community of independent thinkers who aren't afraid to live life on their own terms. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. So subscribe, stay tuned, and let's keep exploring the world through a lens that's anything but ordinary. You're just one click away from something extraordinary. Bye for now, and see you in the next video.